almost all diseases can be totally cured, including hypertension, depression, gastritis, asthma. It's reversible, but you must fix the root cause. This is the difference between healing medicine, you can call it as functional or integrative medicine, and conventional medicine. One of the easiest disease to reverse is insulin, because I am fixing the root cause. Then what you measure automatically will come down, and this is true healing because it is holistic. It heals from head to toe, because in our human body it's a misnomer or misunderstanding to treat organ-based problems, because there is no organ that can function independently. Every organ is connected to every other organ. Every cell is communicating with every other cell. So it has to be a holistic understanding of how all these things work and what actually will make them work better. So the disease just goes away.
Itu feel ni pancreatic cancer.
Bersama saya Dr. Roland Victor.
Satu benda yang
One of the worst stress can happen bila you makan tak sedap.
Doktor, saya punya culture kena makan nasi.
Zaman moden.
But at every second of your life you either earn or learn.
Batu Medic Show. What's up everyone? Selamat datang ke another episode of Lesung Batu Medic Show. Hari ni saya bertuah kerana episod kali ini dibawakan khas oleh Nuheal 365. And episode kali ni very focused to anti-aging regenerative medicine. And I'm so happy today that bersama saya hari ni ialah Datuk Dr. Selvam. Datuk Selvam ni bagi saya dia macam sifu to the segment of anti-aging medicine di Malaysia. And beliau juga ialah the founding president of SAHAM, Society of Anti-Aging Medicine Malaysia. Datuk, thank you so much for coming to Lesung Batu Medic Show. I think all the way from Johor, as you always practice there. Let's get the ball rolling. How did it all start? I know that you are practicing certified ONG specialist, and this is rare in our country. How did you move?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here, Roland. Thank you very much. And namaskaram to all the listeners. The journey had been long. I studied in India, then obstetrics was my passion. So I qualified from the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. That was in 1990. Year 2001, I was accepted as a fellow of the college. Then I started practicing obstetrics. But in obstetrics, you know, you get hypertension, you get patients with premature contraction. And we try to control or suppress with drugs. Then you notice the side effects. Like, for example, if you use a drug to suppress the premature contraction, that leaves the mother with palpitations and, you know, feeling very uncomfortable. But I noticed that you can't actually prolong the pregnancy or deliver a healthier baby because you are just controlling the symptoms, but not healing the body.
Right.
So then anyway, the journey continued because at some point in time, I had to heal myself. And whatever treatment that I taken, whatever number of surgeries I performed on myself, didn't help. I was just getting worse. So that sparked, you know, it's like awakening.
When was that?
This was about 28 years ago.
30
years ago.
Okay.
I just woke up at about 3 a.m. in the morning and asked myself one question. What I'm doing, if it is not healing, it can't heal my patients.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I believe this insight came from my father, who was a very spiritual person. So then I started asking myself, what else can I do? Because I've studied this. And I see it's necessary for me to practice medicine because it gives me the basic scientific knowledge. But I'm not healing the patients. Then I started studying about nutrition medicine, diet. Then from there, it went on to improving myself, but I wasn't happy. So I was in search for more and more answers. Then I qualified as a specialist in hormone therapy, bioidentical or natural hormone therapy, both from the American Academy and the International Hormone Society based in Belgium. But it wasn't enough for me. Then I became a fellow of the ACNM, Australian College of Nutritional and Environmental Medicine. I founded the Society of Saham. I was the president for about 12 years. I'm now the founding president. I have handed over the duties and the responsibilities. So what actually triggered these events is, one was self-healing and the other is observation. So when I learned the art of healing, so-called, then I could actually control blood pressure, diabetes in pregnancies and premature contractions without drugs. And you can deliver very healthy babies, much healthier babies with lots of hair. If you notice nowadays, a lot of babies are born with less hair. And very seldom I see jaundice in newborns, and then respiratory distress syndrome or the breathing problems at birth. So this is how it helps. And so it's called by functional medicine. It is known as integrative medicine. But I call it as healing medicine.
Okay,
because
so
the sacred duty of us as doctors is to heal.
true, not to prescribe.
Yes,
All
as
the
much
time.
as possible, unless it's an emergency situation.
Right. And this journey, I mean, realizing that, a lot of us will feel like, hey, it takes so long from just being from a houseman to a resident, and then going through that specialist journey to become a certified ONG specialist, and then practice in the national system, go out to private, and yet that's still not enough. And there's the knowledge and the seek of knowledge goes deeper. So that itself is something I find very, very amazing, that the perpetual need to study. And when we look into this segment of, like you said, the healing medicine today, so what do you define as this healing medicine? What's missing that now this has to be coming in? Like, we are in the total perspective of sick care in a country that the numbers just go up, the problems just spike every single day, more and more problems.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and we're not looking at this, going back to the basics.
Yeah. Actually, it's, many doctors can change, and they will change. You just have to ask yourself one question. Have I, during the career of being a doctor or practicing medicine, have I cured any one disease? Like, for example, I'm treating diabetes for 10 years and 15 years, or whatever, hypertension, whatever diseases. Have I been able to cure the disease? If you ask that question, the answer for most will be no, because we are just, the sad thing about conventional medicine is we are trying to treat the symptoms, and we are trying to treat what we can measure. So I measure blood sugar. If it is high, I treat the sugar.
Just treating numbers.
I'm not treating the body or the whole body holistically. So what is missing in conventional medicine is treating the root cause. So for every disease, Roland, there is either one or more causes. This is the root cause protocol that we have to learn. So unless you fix the root cause, how can there be healing?
But we did learn all this in physiology, the basic. No. Didn't we learn all of this?
We actually, in medical school, as you know, we are trained to understand or elicit the symptoms or history taking. So we put together all the symptoms, and then we come to a diagnosis. You call it A, B, C, whatever. That's a diagnosis. And then we are trained how to fix these with these drugs or this kind of surgery. I'm not saying they are not necessary. They are necessary during emergencies. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, I'm not healing my patients, and I'm not able to prevent and reverse diseases. Now, that's a very big flaw. That's a big flaw. And to me, it is not a sacred duty. Your duty is to heal the patient, because the patients come to you with the hope that they'll get better. But here I am just treating the symptoms, and then the sad thing is they get worse. Either because of complications of the disease, because if you don't heal the body, you cannot stop the complications.
True.
And second thing, the side effects of drugs. Like, for example, almost all the drugs cause magnesium deficiency. And magnesium does more than 800 functions in the body.
True.
So imagine one mineral becoming less. So for example, if magnesium deficiency is in a diabetic patient, then the patient will get hypertension. So now what am I going to do?
Give another prescription.
Because I don't understand what causes the disease.
But when you mention that because we don't understand what is the disease, is it now the flaw of the system of education itself? I mean, how doctors are trained post World War II that we are just designed to prescribe and not question like, hey, look at this pathway. Because you and I know that the journey of going to medical school is like, we just had to cross one paper after one credit and not rock the boat.
Yeah.
Because it's gruesome, it's long hours, it's exams, hospital, patients to see, and now they have research to do and all of this. So we don't question. Is that the question? That because we don't question?
We don't question because in order to question, you need to understand first. If you don't understand what is the problem that you are facing or what is facing you, I think we'll be lost for questions. You see, for example, how I make it easy for listeners, whether they are doctors or public non-doctors, to understand is, look at our teaching system, medical college teaching system. So how do you define diabetes? For example, diabetes is high blood sugar. Okay. Now, diabetes is not a problem of sugar. Diabetes is something else. Diabetes is caused by high insulin levels. So if someone consumes excess carbs, refined carbs and sugar over a long period of time, every time you eat a carb, your sugar is going to spike. So what will the body do? The body will spike its insulin level, trying to control the blood sugar. But over a long period of time, the body will become resistant or numb to the effects or how the insulin works. So the insulin will not be able to take the blood sugar and put it into the cells.
Yes.
So the sugar now is in the blood. I'm measuring the blood sugar and say you have already diabetes. But what preceded the diabetes is high insulin. And hardly insulin is measured. And yet diabetic patients who are not controlled well with drugs, they are prescribed insulin without testing whether they are able to produce insulin.
Yes, true. I think what Dr. Selvam mentioned is very important. That there are so many tests like serum insulin. Another test they do is a C-peptide test to see the functionality of insulin. But when I get my patients to go into like their usual KKs, clinic kesihatan, and because that's where they get their insulin. So sometimes some of them are subsidized to the national service. Then I was like, can you check and see whether
your insulin
how good is my insulin level, or how good is am I still producing enough of insulin, or it's already dry tank? No, we don't have the budget, or this needs a specialist initial, only then we can order. So they're under the budget.
So it's not insulin deficiency or insufficiency, it's too much insulin. So what we can do is just tell the patients, very simple. You want to control your blood sugar, you control your diet. And you want to control your insulin, you control your sugar. You want to control your sugar, you control your diet. Combined with certain nutrients, supplements and exercise. And it is the easiest disease to reverse, Roland. I have many patients on insulin, that means insulin-dependent diabetics. And they can completely stop the treatment, including insulin, very, very quickly. So one of the easiest disease to reverse is insulin, because I'm fixing the root cause. Then what you measure automatically will come down. And this is true healing, because it is holistic. It heals from head to toe. Because in our human body, it's a misnomer or misunderstanding to treat organ-based problems. So because there is no organ that can function independently. Every organ is connected to every other organ. Every cell is communicating with every other cell. So it has to be a holistic understanding of how all these things work and what actually will make them work better. So the disease just goes away. Almost all diseases can be totally cured, including hypertension, depression, gastritis, asthma. It's reversible. but you must fix the root cause. This is the difference between healing medicine, you can call it as functional or integrative medicine, and conventional medicine.
As you mentioned about healing medicine just now, there are a lot of laws around the world, including our country itself, where they restrict the perspective of, diabetes cannot be reversed, hypertension cannot be reversed. You cannot claim that, you cannot suggest that. But today, with all the sciences that we have, with all the modern medicine and knowledge and nuance and the integration between what I define as not ancient practice. I would not define like Siddha medicine as ancient practice. I would not discount Chinese medicine as alternative. No, they are also mainstream. They have a seat on the table.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting thing.
They
are not alternative.
They are not.
This is alternative. What we are practicing is alternative. What we should be practicing is what they have been practicing as mainstream.
So the suggestion of patients to have a bit more emphasis on their diet, or move them into a bit of fasting, or move them into a bit of more fat, more protein, get them to be having enough exercise. It's not practiced in the mainstream. It's always, okay, we're going to increase the dose. We're going to put a band-aid for you, increase the dose and go. So that is the thing that we need a lot of, what I say, like, political will to help people to understand it. Because today, as we guide patients, as you mentioned, they are reversing. We're not saying that some things can be absolutely reversed. There are situations where the individual is dependent on lifelong insulin therapy. There are individuals that we can really reverse them in just a couple of months, and by just altering their diet, understanding a bit more of their lifestyle, and they heal. And so that's one big challenge I'm seeing. But going back again towards the healing medicine, I think you would understand in a deeper length, being a specialist in ONG, obstetrics and gynecology, the need and use of hormone has always been there. I mean, you understand estrogen, progesterone, the cortisol, what's going on, LH, FSH, prolactin. I mean, better than average physician would do it. I mean, even in the integrative medicine perspective, because we're seeing the ability to understand the PCOS, all of this in your first on practice, going into surgery, seeing certain cysts firsthand. I mean, I'm not maybe gifted to experience that, but we're going to just based on not a diagnostic experience. Are we seeing, like you mentioned, that there's so much interaction that we cannot manage now, like, we're just going to fix the insulin. We're not going to see this. We're not going to see that. It's like sort of like blindsided medicine now. If we don't send the test, we do not know, so we can prescribe. Are we seeing this problem?
It's a time, we have come to a crossroad where we are not able to spend enough for healthcare. And whatever budget we allocate will never be enough. You can build any number of hospitals, in my opinion, it will not be enough, because the number of chronic degenerative diseases like diabetes and hypertension, including infections as well as cancers, are on the rise. And in the post-COVID world, everything is rising rapidly. We all know that. But the onus is on everyone, including the politicians, to recognize that you cannot go on trying to fix disease with buying more drugs and newer drugs and all that, unless doctors are trained and allowed to practice healing medicine, which means we should be allowed to prescribe natural remedies. Because if you want to fix the root cause, you can only fix and heal the body with natural remedies. There are no drugs that heal the body. And this is the truth. This is a fact. Because you are controlling what you measure, not healing. So this is something that everybody has to understand. So I always tell when I do training, because I've been training in this region doctors for the last 15 years. So I tell them 2 ways of improving healthcare. Okay, leave the politics out of it. One is to train doctors to understand your sacred duty to be a healer. This, to me, this makes a lot of meaning. It's a very simple term, but very deep meaning. That is what I'm here for. Number 2, These training doctors, it depends on acceptance. The acceptance is if you ask yourself, am I curing? You will accept. If you don't ask yourself, then you will say Dr. Selvam is talking nonsense. Okay. The other is to educate the public. So let them be aware that they are responsible for their health. So if you want to be healthy, you have to take the responsibility on yourself and seek help when it is needed. But if you put everything together, there's a lot of things that has also gone wrong with our diet, the sleeping pattern, lack of sun exposure, disturbed circadian rhythm, too much of this electromagnetic field. A lot of things we do bring it upon ourselves. And at the same time, healthcare is not addressing the root cause. So you cannot fix the problem unless everybody comes together and understand how to heal.
You know what the answer would be from the system? We got no time for all of that. That's the problem. Yeah. Then they'll say like, if we're just fixing the problem. We just like, I use the word Tai Chi. Just Tai Chi every single thing. You can have a problem, take this. Because in order for me to educate with the amount of traffic that is coming in, they don't have that ample time. But on contrary, I always say like broadcast, like what we're doing, creating awareness goes a huge mile away. Because Certainly. It creates people to think. I mean, those days we only had like a couple of channels. Either you get in or you don't get in. Yeah. But today, everybody can carry that weight. Everybody can be duty bound to spread the awareness to get people thinking about it, rather than just like, just line up for 5 hours, 6 hours, pay 1 ringgit, pay 5 ringgit, get a huge bunch of candy medicines for 3 months. Line up again and get that. It's not, like you said, it's not fixing, but we need to get the conversation up.
Yeah, you can't fix because if you notice hospitals, the number of outpatients will only keep increasing. It will not decrease because you are not creating health. It's like, it's a sick care, as you mentioned. So I'm only treating the sick. I am not educating them to be healthy and don't get sick first. Number 2, I'm not addressing why they are sick. So how do you fix the problem? You can't fix it. It's only going to get worse.
True. Jumping out of that discussion, I mean, one thing interesting when we touched about diabetes and we think about sugar, it's always about energy. And one part or segment of healing is understanding energy. It's almost looking at your generators in the body, all your small electrical output, energy output going into the cellular medicine. And I think there's a lot. I've attended your talks. I mean, you emphasize a lot on energy medicine. So what's your take, and how macro or micro do you see this energy equation in the body?
If you don't understand, this is micro. If you understand it fully, it is the macro of the macro. Because, another problem with our education is we are treating the physical body. And then we also compartmentalize. So if I become a specialist, then there's nothing wrong in specializing. You are more focused, you understand it better. Like I'm an obstetrician, I understand how the uterus and ovaries function better. But if I don't connect it to the whole body, then my view is very limited. Right. So that is one. The other one is, if you want to address the physical body, stop addressing organ-based disease. Go down to the cellular level, because the cell health defines organ health. So we are stuck at organs. We are not talking about cell. So this is in the physical body. So for many years when I was training doctors, it was functional medicine or healing medicine focused on cellular health. I'm not sure whether I'm the first one to coin this energy medicine, but if you look at what drives the physical body or what runs this machine, is the energy. So this will take a little bit of time for me to explain, but it's very interesting and it's good for everybody to know. So if you look at human body, humans as well as plants and animals, what are we actually? Fundamentally, we are nothing but light and energy. Light becomes energy in the form of frequencies. So this, in plants, we call it photosynthetic. Are humans photosynthetic? We are, because light becomes energy in your body. That energy drives this vehicle or machine. So we are as photosynthetic as plants. Okay, plants use that light to make food, and we eat the food, and you need that energy to digest the food.
Yeah, and just want to just add on with what Dr. Selvam said. This has been proven where the cellular function of the mitochondria can be charged by sunlight. Just like how you watch one of those Superman movies, he goes up there and gets some sunlight. There's proven clinical evidence that can happen.
So it's whether you accept it, because if you say, oh, this is not true, but because science is always very, very far behind ancient wisdom where they understood these things. So if you talk about energy medicine, it is good to know the sources of energy and where we are lacking, why we lack energy in the body. Before that, I can give you an analogy. Okay, if you fill your car tank, petrol, say you fill half the tank, you'll only go half the distance. So we have an energy tank, a battery. If it is half full, this explains a lot, Roland. If your tank is half full, the body is very intelligent. It will use the energy just to survive.
Yes.
It doesn't have energy to repair and rejuvenate yourself or regenerate yourself. Now understand that human body must repair itself on a daily basis. So whether you allow the body to repair because it has got certain timings, it has got certain rules, whether you follow. So the energy tank has to be full. So if you want to fill your energy tank, then you need to understand the sources of energy. So one is cosmic energy or quantum energy, which is free, is abundant in the universe. That energy has not decreased. It's abundant. But whether we are accessing the energy.
Yeah, so we can tap in.
Yeah, we don't tap into the energy because, lifestyle has changed. People rush to work in the dark and come back home after dark. So we are indoors during the night and outdoors during indoors during the day and outdoors during the night. You're not
becoming a nocturnal species.
Okay. Yeah, nocturnal species. And then this is one source of energy. But in order to tap into this energy, you need to be aware and perform certain duties with intention. And one of the sacred things that we can do, which has been practiced since millennia, is meditation. During meditation, you can tap into this cosmic energy. And because you can feel. And the other practice is what these ancient practices we have, like yoga and qigong. But sadly, now people, when they do yoga, they do it as an exercise. There's no awareness and there's no intention. So even if you do yoga, if you don't inculcate these practices, you don't tap into the energy. You must be in that present moment and you must visualize the energy in your body as you do. But yoga is practiced as an exercise.
You need to set the intent.
Yes. So now yoga is, you have pole yoga, you have hot yoga. That is deviating from the purpose. So these two are the sources, but unfortunately, modern living, I think it is not making it easy for most people to access this.
But where do people attain such knowledge like this? I mean, like you're talking about something that is, when we go back maybe like 30 years or 40 years ago, maybe looking at some people practicing some asanas and certain modes. It was so simple. You probably just see one guy, maybe needed just in a what we define like a Kylie kind of pants.
Yeah.
And then and that was it. And the focus was much more. But today it's like an industry, it's a business. You get certified training for this kind of yoga. You have the centers and things like. Why that core root practice of yoga is like still not seen here? I mean, like it's like so modernized, but that root practice is not seen here. Is it because it's too boring? It's not sexy enough to attract more people to do.
Smart people can make boring things excitable. So we want
Smart
that
people.
excitement. So this is smart people. So actually meditation is not difficult. You know it's not easy to master, but it's very easy to get into. All you need to do is find a comfortable place, peaceful place, quiet place. Sit down and focus on your breath. I'll touch on the breath.
Okay.
And your eyes are looking out. Now close your eyes and imagine you're looking inside. And that's where everything is. The whole world is within you. So you are energy being. So this is something very simple, but of course it needs discipline and consistency. and be consistent. Just sit in silence and observe the breath. That itself is meditation. We are not talking about higher levels of meditation, but you will get there if you do it consistently. And sometimes you need some help. It's as simple as that. So that is one. The other one that you can do is be out in the morning sun. I'll tell you the difference in a short while. What is the difference between the morning sun and after 10 a.m.? So these two, whenever is possible. But if you want to say, I have to get up at 5 o'clock and I'm already rushing, then you get up at 6 o'clock. You get up at 5:50, 5:45. You need to keep that 10-15 minutes in the morning as the first thing you do.
Okay, I'm going to hold Dr. Selvam there. We'll be right back after a short break and we will get to that discussion. So welcome back to Lesung Batu Medic Show today, brought to you by Nuheal. So one of the interesting things I want to share is the vitamin D3. This is one of my favorite items in my practice. All of these products are available at almost all medical clinics in Malaysia. Most of them are all registered under the Ministry of Health. You can see all those labeling. So for more information, speak to your doctor. Okay, Dr. Selvam, back to our discussion just now about
energy medicine.
Energy medicine, and from the timing of waking up to the vitamin D. Go on.
Okay. So we spoke very briefly of quantum energy. That's the universal energy. Then the solar energy. And just before I touch on what you can produce in a body, solar energy is very interesting. Now, before 9 a.m. is the visible light, which is made of 7 colors we know, and they all have frequencies. Of the colors, the red and blue are most beneficial as much as we know from science now, but all colors are beneficial, but the red is powerful. And the chip that produces energy in your body, we'll talk next, loves colors. That is why exposing yourself to early morning sun, it helps to heal your body and generate energy. Because as I said, fundamentally, we are energy being. So this is visible. Now, beyond the visible, that means it's longer frequency, is called infrared, of which you have near, mid, and far. The near is the most beneficial, which is close to the red. So these are very, very healing, very powerful healing energies. But of course, now we have units of light where there's a combination of red, near infrared, and quantum, because they're all based on frequencies. And they are very powerful gadgets to heal. It's just simple and portable. You can use it to heal cuts and wounds and generate energy, improve your sleep, improve your eyesight, beauty. So those are powerful units. Now, the third source of energy, which is within one's control, is cellular energy, what you produce inside your cells. So this is, say, it's the chip that produces energy. The medical word is mitochondria.
Okay.
So we studied in medical school, mitochondria produces ATP, which is the energy, that's all. But mitochondria lies at the center of everything that happens in your body. It receives all the signals that come in from the environment and the self, and it understands, deciphers, and sends out signals to all other cells, every cell, what they should do, when they should do. So mitochondria is at the crossroad of everything that happens in your body. So if your mitochondria is not healthy, it is not just energy deficiency, it's communication deficiency. Okay. So energy is so critical. Look at it this way. We started with one cell, Roland. Then it divided into 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, and now this body is made of trillions of cells. Yeah. Now what made it possible? What gave the possibility of cell division? Without energy, you can't divide.
Yes.
So that is energy. And then the cells had that innate intelligence. And what is this? When the cells were dividing, who gave them the menu that you become the heart cells, or you become the kidney cells, you become liver cells? That is innate intelligence. And then the communication, information. But all this also depends on energy. So this is how we are energy being, basically. So you must produce enough energy. And I said that your energy tank, as much as possible, has to be full. all the time. So it's for survival, the purpose of living, as well as repair and rejuvenation. Everything has to happen. So what has gone wrong? Modern living definitely has damaged our mitochondria. So if you look at diseases, you look at it this way. If you have zero energy, it means death. If you have energy insufficiency or deficiency, it is disease. So almost all diseases can be connected to energy deficiency.
So are you saying that if we have enough of delivery of, I would say like how the mitochondria is like a power grid, like a TNB power grid. So some cells will need more. There are more mitochondria. It's like more mitochondria in our muscle tissue compared to other organs, or in the heart and everything. So the grid can already intelligently has its own intelligence to divide. Okay, here needs how many watts, here needs how many watts, how much ATP needs to produce. So are we saying like when we choke on the supply of energy or the ATP function itself, then all the problems start to happen?
Yeah, it's just like the lights getting dimmer. So you mentioned about the watts. Say your muscle cells, each cell has about 500 mitochondria. That's the chip. Your heart cells has 10,000 mitochondria per cell. So if you are energy deficient, which organ will be affected first? The energy intense organs like your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your immune cells, your detoxification, because they all have to function 24/7. So this is why when you become energy deficient, especially recently we noticed that a lot of sudden deaths and the heart stop beating, and it's mostly to do with energy. So this mitochondria, to make it simple for understanding, this mitochondria is like a sausage, but it has got 5 motors. Plates. So we call it complexes. So it's complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes. You have to initiate this energy production in complex 1. It's the ignition. Then it drives the 2, second one, the third, the fourth, and fifth, and you get ATP as energy. But this complex is a complex. So you have to know what actually keeps it healthy, what actually can give you optimum energy production. Number 1, you need to burn food for energy. That we all know. That's why we eat.
The common perspective of the public is, okay, tak cukup tenaga, not enough energy. Eat something. It's going to fuel. I just work on the direct perspective of fueling. But now we're looking about the gearing.
Yeah. So the problem is carbohydrates. I'm not saying don't eat carbs. Carbohydrates are burnt for energy, and the byproduct of carbohydrate is called free radicals or the smoke. That directly affects the mitochondria. So which means the more carbohydrate a person consumes, the more dysfunctional your mitochondria becomes, and less the smaller amount of energy you produce. So what happens? You feel tired, and you are not yourself. So what happens to these patients, because carbohydrates are addictive like cocaine and smoking, so the brain will send signal as though you're hungry. You're not hungry. Then you eat more carbohydrates. So this feel good and then slump and feel good. So this is energy deficiency. So those who want to take care of the mitochondria or the chip must be on low carb diet. Very, very important. And sugar is not only a poison, it is a direct toxin to the mitochondria. So avoid sugar. And also, that is how your intermittent fasting works. So intermittent fasting on a low carb diet means you eat for a certain window, say 8 hours window, and 16 hours you drink. Why is it important? Because it helps the body to repair itself. I told you just now at the beginning, the body must be allowed to repair. So when you don't eat, the energy is focused on repair and regeneration. When you eat, the energy shifts towards digestion and assimilation. So that means you must allow the body to repair, but then the repair is mostly at night. So what are the conditions? Stomach must be empty, so you eat early dinner. There should not be excess blood sugar and thereby insulin, which will stop the repair process. You must sleep early because the body only repairs during certain period of time. Yes. Maximum is between 12 midnight to 3 a.m. So what happens if you eat late and sleep late? You're not repairing yourself.
You know, there's saying in Chinese medicine that every hour that you sleep before midnight is 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's true. So you
Sleep is very important.
and this has already been backed by science also, where like I always advocate this in my patients that the liver detoxification process happens during that circadian rhythm, and that is governed by all the celestial bodies in our cosmos.
Yes.
So that's where the macro comes in, but what we're looking at now is the micro. I like what you mentioned about the low carb. But at contrary, there were generations of humans who were labor intensive. I mean, like today we are working on a desktop generation.
Yeah.
Everything is done on the desktop, whether it's work, entertainment, eat, everything done there. And there was a period of humanity where we were labor intensive. That means we plowed the soil. We didn't have any machinery. We had to carry bricks, whether it's how many floors to build any huge monuments. And at that point, I realized the only way for kingdoms to fuel their citizens, to feed them, whether it was grains, whether it's rice, whether it was grains via alcohol, the focus of carb was that. But we knew even in ancient Egypt, diabetes was already being managed. They have evidence that there were people who had diabetes at that point. Why is it that there were not much of a diabetic issue like a few hundred years ago, but today we are having a lot? But if you look retrospectively, even to our families, the amount of rice, especially in Indian families, you can see the amount of rice that they were eating. I said, wow, that's a lot of rice. I mean, I would have never eaten that much.
Interesting. I just came back from India. I went to village. I visited my uncle who's 95 years old. And his son is a brother. So I saw the amount of rice he ate. I can eat that for 1 month.
See, this is what I'm saying.
But he's healthy and fit because he goes to the field, plowing, and agriculture 6 a.m. It comes at 6 p.m. So we can't do that, Roland. You asked me to go. I don't have a land to plow, but then you should move your body. So we are taking in a lot of calories, but we are not burning. So that is the problem.
Because of that, we have to advocate this low carb thing.
Low carb. So and then they were eating complex carbs, and the soil was rich, so they were getting the nutrients that keeps your furnace burning. Your mitochondria burns the food more efficiently. So now we are eating refined carbs which are devoid of vitamins and minerals because they have been bleached already. So that's a lot of stress on your body, and then we are not moving our body. So, like what you say, we drive around, sit in air-conditioned room, and then table, chair.
Doctor's going to start walking from JB to KL after this.
So that is a problem. So low-carb diet means less damage to the mitochondria. This is where keto diet helps. Keto diet is without carbs. You can go on it for a month or two and just revive your body. Reset. Because your mitochondria becomes healthy. And you also need to exercise, especially the muscle building exercise or any exercise, because the bigger the muscle, the more mitochondria you have. That's why weight bearing seems to prolong longevity. So exercise is very important. And interestingly, you need to protect the mitochondria from what we call as free radical damage or oxidative stress. Now, this is where antioxidants play a very crucial role.
Yeah.
I can tell you why disease is rampant now. The master antioxidant in the body is glutathione. Glutathione. So that's also a master immune booster, master detoxifier. We were able to make it in our body, but we don't make it because we lack the amino acids in the right portion. So you have to take a supplement that can actually help to increase your mitochondria, because this is the master that protects the mitochondria from oxidative stress or free radical damage. You eat a lot of carbs, you have lots of free radical damage. Already the damage is being done. If you lack antioxidants, it will only get worse.
It's almost like you're perpetually cooking, but all your windows are closed and the smoke is choking all the internal organelles.
Exactly. And the other antioxidant that is so crucial for health is vitamin C. Now, how many people know that human body cannot make vitamin C? And how often this has been told? Even we have not been trained. So how are you going to fight viruses and cancer and bacteria and fungus? Look at animals, they make their own. So you don't see animals getting dengue, chickenpox and cancer. Why are we getting? Is because we cannot make vitamin C. So take optimum dose of vitamin C to protect as antioxidants. Now, magnesium is a mineral. As I said, it does more than 800
It also
functions
works
in
as
the
an
body.
antioxidant.
Yes. And it is necessary for all the 5 complexes to produce energy. So if you are deficient in magnesium, which is extremely common, Roland, because the soil is deficient. Even if you buy organic vegetables, you're not going to get much. So you will be energy deficient besides all other functions. So now is the interesting part. So what actually is the ignition?
Okay.
To turn on the first complex is a molecule called NAD, which is the most powerful molecule that I've come across. And it is the most powerful molecule because we are nothing but energy. So you must have optimum amount of energy. So that becomes the key. But unfortunately, NAD can be expensive and it is not an oral form. The substitute is what many people know now is called NMN. Okay. So NMN is a substitute because it is a precursor for NAD in your body. So how do you know NMN, what you're paying for, actually works for you? Within a week or two, you'll notice improved energy. And then you see the glowing skin because that's how your body works. Even for beauty, even anti-aging, and every cell to work, you need to have energy.
Yeah, I think for those who are hearing here, NAD and MN are something very synonym to the Krebs cycle that happens in the mitochondria. So this is sort of like a carrier that works in the cofactors that allows something called this thing called electron transport. So they would drive up the hydrogen, then push down, and to get more ATP energy. And so something like here, what we have here is the NMN. This is I think is in a sachet form, right? So something that you just stir and you can consume. So there's a lot of difference. When I first knew about NAD, it's back in like 2017. There's an NY came from US to visit us. So research, okay, the clinic is nearby KLCC, let's go and visit them. They say like, have you all heard about this? This is like sort of like a hip therapy in Silicon Valley, where a lot of people who are in the IT things, they just needed to power their brain up, speed up their energy. They were using it, and then they said like, how come you all don't have it? Yeah, I said we are a bit slow in Malaysia. We know what's happening, but we're slow. And then we had a chance to try it at that point. Like you mentioned, it's very highly reactive. So it had to become frozen.
Yeah.
So they had brought it frozen.
A good one will always be frozen.
Frozen.
Not the powder, not the liquid form.
Exactly.
You can't keep it stable.
Yeah.
So what people can get access to easily is the powder form, NMN, which is a precursor. So that actually is the ignition. But you need these other nutrients like magnesium, glutathione C, and also CoQ10 for the energy production. And there are other things, cod liver oil, which is retinol and copper. Now, I can give you one interesting story about Q10. Okay, so Q10 is made from cholesterol. Okay, just like your steroid hormones and vitamin D that you mentioned, they are all made from cholesterol.
It's also cholecalciferol.
Okay, so at the very beginning, I mentioned about intelligence, the innate intelligence. So our body is very intelligent. So if you are low in CoQ10, you are low in hormones, or if you are low in vitamin D3, the body will naturally increase the parent molecule, which is the LDL cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay, so if the LDL cholesterol is high and I bring it down, but I also bring down the CoQ10, which is made from cholesterol, now I have less energy in my heart.
Then I create more problems.
No problem. So all this must be there. Now comes more interesting things. Okay, so in order for the energy production, you need oxygen. What we don't know is that oxygen is good and bad. It is, without oxygen you can't survive, but the problem is with oxygen is it is very reactive when it is used. Then it becomes from O2, it becomes O. We call it singlet oxygen. It's reactive in the sense that, take for example, if I have a piece of nail, I leave it outside, what will happen?
Rust.
It will rust. Because it reacts with oxygen, it reacts with water, it will rust. So iron rusts outside. But what we are not telling people is you can also rust inside. Because you have iron throughout the body. And mitochondria has iron. So if you have oxygen, you have iron and water in your body, the rusting can happen. So
how do we stop the rusting then?
You can't stop it entirely,
Put
but
some
you can
paint inside.
control. Okay. Put some paint. So what we need to do is to understand breath control. This is in ancient practice is called pranayama. It's still now called pranayama. Basically, what it means is sometimes it sounds like it's mystical, but the real fact, the real science comes maybe 100, 200, 300 years later. Understanding. So oxygen, while it is necessary for survival, but you must slow down your oxygen. So how do you do is this breath control. There are many, many types of pranayama. The simplest one, I told you at the beginning, to meditate, focus on your breath. So rule number one is you must practice abdomen breathing. Most people do chest breathing, and if you observe, we breathe fast. The slower you breathe, the longer you live. Dogs which pant live for 10, 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Turtles and tortoise, they breathe so slow, they live for a few hundred years. This is the significance. Yeah. So you must be, we say breathing is involuntary and it's unconscious effort. No, it is, you must become aware and it must be intentional. That means you sit down in a comfortable position, you slow down your breathing in, inhalation, pause for 1 or 2 seconds, and you breathe out slowly again, pause for 1 or 2 seconds. This is just, you keep doing this and you learn, it will become automatic that you breathe through your abdomen, with the abdomen, and you slow down your breathing. When you slow down your breathing, many people say, oh, you'll take less oxygen, is it not bad? No. You take less oxygen, yes, but you use the oxygen more efficiently because you also retain carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is not a waste gas. Without carbon dioxide, you cannot extract the oxygen from the hemoglobin. Okay, so this is breathing. And so you do, there are many types. This is the most basic type of breathing, but it's absolutely important for energy production because you protect your mitochondria. The other one that actually helps your mitochondria to be stronger and tougher is also breath control, where you exhale completely, pinch your nose and hold for as long as you can, but do it in a relaxed state, don't struggle. So when you do this, you have enriched yourself with carbon dioxide. And that is very important for oxygenation of your tissue. This is called intermittent hypoxic therapy. So even if you are walking, you can breathe out and walk for as long as you can without, holding the breath. Exhale and hold. So this is very powerful. And there is another pranayama, is humming, because it releases nitric oxide, which is very important for your mitochondria. So this is oxygen and breathing. So this is very important. What is even more important is the gas hydrogen. We don't talk about it. We used to produce a lot of hydrogen in our gut because the food was rich in fiber. You need fiber to produce hydrogen, and you need certain types of bacteria to produce. Now we are deficient, very, very deficient in hydrogen. So hydrogen is an intelligent gas, very powerful antioxidant, but it selects the dangerous free radicals and leaves behind the beneficial ones.
Oh,
that
self-selective.
It's intelligent gas. And it's
the first element in the periodic table.
Yes. And is much more abundant in the atmosphere than even oxygen. So it's an intelligent gas, it's antioxidant, it is a beauty gas, it has got so many benefits. But the most important benefit that is less spoken of is it reduces the rusting, because once oxygen is used to burn food, the singlet oxygen, when you have hydrogen, it combines with the oxygen H2O and make water for you. This is how we make internal water. So when you are deficient in oxygen, hydrogen, you also rust inside and your mitochondria becomes less healthy. So if you look at it, you need light to improve the mitochondrial energy production. You need food which should be low carb, intermittent fasting, and even keto diet for a short period of time. And then you need the nutrients, NMN, NAD, magnesium, and you need vitamin C and glutathione, if possible, even Q10 and retinol, which is cod liver oil. All these are important, but one important or very beneficial way of boosting mitochondrial health and thereby energy production is water fasting. You see, in ancient cultures, they come up with 101 reasons to fast. They knew the benefits.
Here we come up 101 reasons to break fast.
Break fast. So, you see, actually, the ancient culture, they knew this is ancient wisdom. They knew the benefits, but if they go and tell people, hey, you fast is good for you, you won't believe it. If they say, fast for this god, fast for this festival, we'll fast. So in our culture, if you see all cultures, fasting was very important and it's a standard practice. So how do you do this fasting? You slowly have to train yourself to go without food for maybe, if you do the intermittent fasting, is 8 hours of eating, 16 hours of not eating. So you stretch to 18, 20, it's easy to do. Do it once a week, and when you get used to it, you can do 2 days water fasting in a month, or even 3 days. That's the best to rewire the entire system, 72 hours. So
that means they have fluids, but they do not consume any.
Yeah. But fluids means no
juice.
Vegetable juices, no fruit juices, no protein drink. Water, green tea, herbal tea, lemon water. If you love your black coffee in the morning, is fine, but only this. Learn how to practice fasting. It's not too difficult. If you want to live healthier and longer, fasting is absolutely important. So all this is about mitochondria and energy production.
But it's very rare to hear a lot of people saying that, oh, we're going to go for 70. We have heard about it in this segment of medicine, that the 72 hours that technically will shackle out the mitochondrial function, will improve the glycogen ability to release out, get the not increase the insulin sensitivity. Technically, we need to make sure the insulin receptors work well. Yeah. As much as we were pumping in insulin, but we fail to realize that how is the docking side of insulin? How rusted is it? How much of a debris that we are having on these receptors that they are numb towards, because they're perpetually feeding. There's a breakfast, there's a heavy lunch. If you go for a national meeting, there's tea time with curry puff and tea, and then another dinner, and then supper. So like 6 meals, 7 meals a day. Yeah. We either knowingly take it or unknowingly it's happening. You know, it's like, oh, we just have a tidbit, or we have some chips, we have some kacang. So perpetually we're provoking
you're not resting the body to heal. You have to rest and without food. Empty stomach and hunger means the body is healing. But when we feel hungry, the disturbance that you feel, we name it gastric, and we eat. So I have so many patients come to me and tell me, oh doctor, if I don't eat, I get gastric. I tell them, no, it's the rumbling sound is because the stomach is squeezing the toxins down. So that is actually detoxification, it's not hunger. So you know what I tell them? I tell them, you go to all the poorest countries or the remote villages, there is no gastric problem. Where there is less food, there is no gastric. When there is abundant food, there is gastric. So gastric is disease of abundance. So there are many misconceptions about this. So what I'm saying is, you must go back to the basic. So you understand that you need the physical body to carry you around wherever you want to go. But in our culture, there is also a saying that this is the first temple. Worship this as the first temple, as you would keep the temple clean and full of sanctity. Yeah. Keep this clean, respect this, because this is the first temple. So you take care of the physical body, which is important. That's what harbors your organs and cells. But what drives the entire system is energy. So the energy comes from light, from cosmos, and what you produce inside your body. Some of those, the first two, will be a bit difficult with modern living, but whenever it is possible, you must be out in the sun, morning sun, at least for 10-15 minutes, impossible, even walk on the grass. So if all these are very beneficial, but you must also understand the third component of cellular energy. which you produce in your body, and by and large it is within your control. You can control how much energy you produce, but many things have changed also in the post-COVID world, in a world where we're living full of toxins and heavy metals. Water is not clean, air is not pure like those days, and we are eating a nutrient, not a nutrient dense food. Worse still, we are eating refined carbs and with sugar. So if you understand all this, actually they have multiple effects, but they also affect energy production.
True. Dr. Selvam, just to before we conclude, where's your practice? Where do people get to find you? I mean, with all these messages, because this is something that's like orchestra for me, you know, to see a senior doctor who is highly recognized in the segment of healing medicine, anti-aging. I mean, you were the pioneers, lah. We had to look at you. I look at you. I look up to you to this journey that you took. Where's your practice, and where do people get to seek information from you?
I practice in Batu Pahat, Johor. My clinic is Femcare Specialist Clinic. It's funny, I wanted to change the name. When I I didn't give up obstetrics. I still practice obstetrics and gynecology, but I do a lot of healing. That means it's prevention and reversal of diseases. But I couldn't change the name because that time the law didn't allow me to call healing center or wellness center because there's so much of restriction. I said, I stick with Femcare. So the clinic is Femcare Specialist Clinic. We have a website, femcarespecialistclinic.com. So they can access me
to the center. And you have your own social media handles?
Yes, it's I do short videos on TikTok. I'm not a person who want to popularize myself, but I feel it's my duty to share the knowledge, because this knowledge is not mine. I wasn't born with this knowledge. I learned it from somebody else. So it's only good if I share. And the purpose of sharing is not only to educate doctors, more importantly to educate the people. So if you go to a doctor and start demanding for answers, so I have diabetes, for example. Why are you not checking my insulin level? Or can you please check my insulin level? Then the doctor will think, oh, this person is still trying to tell me something I need to do. So that's education. So you can either train the doctors or train the public train the doctors, or either way. Whatever way, in any way you look at it,
we train each other.
Improve. So most of what I do is as a service. So I do short videos in TikTok, Datuk Dr. Selvam or Dr. Selvam. That's my account number. So they can, I think it's also posted in, I'm not very familiar with all these tech things, but I have videos on TikTok. I also have it in Facebook, and they can contact me through my clinic. But this is what I tell my patients, Roland. Those who are serious about healing are the ones who should be seeing me, because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But it takes me about at least an hour to see for the first time in the new case, because I go through some of those pillars I've mentioned. There are many other pillars of health, and every pillar has to be addressed. And you can even reverse autoimmune diseases. It's not difficult at all. Diabetes is the easiest disease, and as I mentioned, the only time I find it difficult is when patients come to me in stage 4 cancers after having taken the standard treatments, because the body has become very toxic. Otherwise, you see the improvements very fast. And I have patients who have stopped taking the insulin the very next day. The very next day. I just tell them this: you change 100% tomorrow, you can stop. But please monitor your blood sugar levels. And they keep in touch with me at least for the first week, second week. Hypertension takes a bit of time. But the fact is, you are healing, and you heal the entire body. I'm not trying to treat what I can measure only. Yeah.
True. I think the big message that you mentioned was, it's just not just the physical body. It's beyond that. There is some form of body, mind, and spirit inside all of us. I mean, this is something that we learned only the physicality of it. We never looked beyond the aura of the body, and this is where a lot of things are changing. A lot of segments of medicine are now looking into this and trying to understand further.
Yes.
So only if we understand the further, or in fact, I would say like just go back and look back. Look back to the ancient sciences. They are also science. I mean,
There's
of course,
so much of wisdom there.
Exactly. So much of science and knowledge there that, of course, we didn't quantum it into data and peer-reviewed journals, but it worked.
Yeah.
So the main thing, if it's working, why not look into it?
Yeah.
Then build the tabulate the science behind
Yeah.
it. If you need a lot of things to be justified, like data analytics and stuff.
Very simple, Roland. Say you practice, you learn something new, you put it into practice. If it makes you feel better, okay, then it should be working. Then you can go and look for the science. Because as I said, science is always very far behind in healing. So you can try it on yourself. For example, you can do grounding and be out in the sun and see how it helps you. You can control your breath, see how it works. You can take magnesium, for example, and see how it works. If it helps you to feel better without side effects, then it is definitely healing.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So even without very strong scientific evidence, if it is there, it's better. If it is not, it doesn't prohibit you from trying something that is natural in safe doses that has no side effects. Isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Selvam, for coming to Lesung Batu Medic Show. For those who enjoyed this episode, I think it's a very deep episode. I enjoyed this conversation. These are the conversations that we look to have. For those who want to see more of this content, don't forget to click the subscribe button on YouTube. Don't forget to see us also on Shorts, on TikTok, Instagram, and also Facebook. Till we meet next time, kita lesung kau.